But now I would say, since you've gone in a month, what overall, let's start out telling everyone, what do you plan on going into? Why are you going to college? What are your career aspirations?
I plan to be an automotive engineer, being able to work with cars, be able to fix problems on cars, be able to solve problems.
Okay.
Problem solving.
All right. So certainly for what you plan to do you really see having a college degree is vital for you to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And I would agree. I'm very familiar with the automotive engineering field. And so, yes, you do need that piece of paper to walk into the door. Without it, they really won't even consider you, or they'll certainly pay you down here when everyone else is getting paid. Can't see my hand, getting paid up here. So now I think let's go back to something we discussed when you were looking for a class. Let's start with African American history. How prepared did you really feel for that class? And now that you're taking it, how do you feel in there?
I felt I was already prepared going into the class, and just over a month, I feel even more confident that I can get just a straight A's throughout the whole semester. And that's one of the reasons why I took the class, because I knew it would be able to get me ready for college, be able to get me ready just to get in the flow of things.
Okay, so and that was something that we actually strategically talked about. I will go into this in a future video, but I'm going to tell you sometimes, especially as a homeschooling parent, or really I think any parent, that sometimes the most difficult part about this process when you first start is dealing with the college counselor. I'm not, going at college counselors, but I'll say this. College counselors do not know what's best for your son or daughter. So I will go in and we'll be meeting with the counselor, and to watch the counselor try to steer them into the direction of, I guess, either the new Vogue class that everyone's trying to go into, or they try to push them into all of these liberal arts type of topics, assuming that they can't handle harder work. And, I would veto that right away when we have those counseling. And I'm sure they probably thought, okay, who's this guy coming in here causing trouble? But I knew what my son and daughter were capable of doing. So in that case, I saw no reason for them to take some classes that really weren't going to benefit them that much. And so they would try to say, well, what about life science? Do you think you could, how would you feel about life science? And do you like to look at trees? If you like to look at trees, we have a tree looking class. And remember, these classes are not free. They are not free. So when they offer your son and daughter some tree-looking class on how to observe leaves, and again, look, if you want to observe leaves and you're into that, great, take that class. He likes to look at bugs. I don't dig looking at bugs, but he likes to look at bugs. One of the things we talked about was being what?
Entomologist.
An entomologist. He's heavily into looking at bugs and researching and studying bugs. But in terms of, if that's not something you're into, oftentimes the university will try to get you to go into these areas. And don't worry about that. Still take the strengths. You have been teaching your child, your son and daughter, for years. In his case, I've been teaching his cat for 16 years. We don't believe in just starting school when you're 4 or 5 years old. For 16 years, I've been teaching him. So I knew he was capable of having and dealing with a lot more complex work than what they wanted to give him. So African American studies, that I won't say that's part of our home, that is our home. So for him to take that class, I knew it was going to be a no-brainer, just for him to get accustomed to the flow, a professor's flow of when he starts. Now with the English, okay, you didn't feel like you would be able to do it, but now you got an A on your first essay. How do you feel about English now?
Definitely over a month, I feel more confident. Still learning new stuff throughout English, of course, but I definitely feel more confident after a month.
Good. So, and I'm going to say again to you, I think that you know what your son and daughter, what they are capable of doing. So don't be afraid to just throw them in there. And really this year, obviously because of current events, we were in a little bit of a different situation than my other son and daughter, because in the past, I also had to realize this was the first time that they were going into a classroom. Forget just a high school, any kind of classroom. This is really their first time being in a traditional classroom. So I knew that adjustment would have to take place. So that was another reason why whenever I looked at the classes that they were going to need to take, what classes would they feel most comfortable in sitting with others? What would the expectations be, etc.? So at least I knew with him, because much of this was going to be online, and right now it's turned out everything has actually been online, which, to be honest, I'm not a fan of. I mean, I get it, it is what it is, but and even before the last events over the last year, certainly online learning has been something that the universities have been pushing more and more for convenience and other reasons, plus I'm sure it lowers their overhead also. I know that there are those aspects of being in the classroom that it would be good for them to have, for them to go ahead and participate in, because that's still part of college life, what we didn't necessarily get at this time. So I think we will in the upcoming semesters. And by then, I think he's going to be ready, because the confidence. He didn't think he could do English. I knew he would be fine. Was that even proper grammar? He could do English? I don't even know. Look, I went to a Detroit public school, so but you know what? What I know, I still put in his head. And now he can take it for wherever he likes. Because Daddy has what he has that puts food on the table and that was able to, at least being blessed, have a life where he could be homeschooled. Well, in that case, I may not know it all, but all I need to do is stay a day ahead of him. And so whatever he needs to take it even further. Again, my daughter, when she looks at me, looks at my grammar and my English level, but yet she's an English major. So now she can correct me. She can correct his papers. And then my son as well. Now, ironically, my son is more into IT, but he also has a bit of an artsy mind, but he does a tremendous job in his writing. And so what does he do? We can have him proofread things, and he does a great job, far better than I am able to do. So I have to ask myself the same thing I started out asking you. Not what have you done, what do you think you could do? And so I ask myself that, and I want you to ask yourself that. Not what have your kids done? Not whether the school has said whether your kids have a learning disability, whether they have a speech impediment, whether they are this, whether they are that. You know what your kids are capable of doing. And so with that, now I'm going to go into more.